For my friend after the attack in April. She asked me, if I'm walking down the street and it's getting late and I see a black man coming toward me and I cross the street, am I really being a silly white girl? She had to ask. Since the attack, her rapist has tried to become the only black man she can see. Walking home yesterday, she said, a weathered branch hung too low in the sunset and became his brow furrowed in contemplation of how best to approach me this time. She finds it difficult enough to know a branch is just a branch, but what about the stranger down the street? She is desperate to know the difference between racism, good sense, and unreality now. She asked her class, if we walk through the city at night, don't we assume our money, youth, and skin are our protection? They ignored her. She sounded unreasonable. All her frivolity ended in April, though. She told me, I know this attack wasn't my fault, but it was silly of me to walk alone that night. I had other options. She told me how she hated the crime alert, how the police described him so poorly. Black man, 5'5", jeans and a jacket. She told me it should have read, black man, no further description. He knew how to disguise himself, how to make himself into an archetype of his race. We play along. Leaving therapy once, a man, black, stepped at her and yelled, boo, white girl! She clung to a fence, waiting to remember that he couldn't beat her attacker. He walked on, laughing at the silly fears of white women. I kind of get it though, she said. I listen to the way some white women talk about being around black men. They speak with the excitement of someone going bungee jumping. How many buoyant, wavery hellos had that man heard? How many voices shaking as if they were fastening him onto their belts, wondering if he'd boing them safely or just snap? I kind of get it, she said. Scaring a white woman in broad daylight shows the threats in her head, not in him. Laughing must feel like a burden lifted. That night, her boyfriend came to check on her. As he passed the frat houses, the police stopped him. They said he looked the type. 5'5", black, jeans, a jacket. They didn't notice how he kept his hands out of his pockets, ungloved, how he kept his scarf from obscuring his face in case of occasions such as this. They could not know that his hands helped her heal, that his face was the only one that never changed to her. To them, he was just typical. They ignored the men and women leaving the party, pulling each other away a little too coarsely. To the police, it was just a typical silliness. She asked me, what's typical?